Hey, this is Clint from CT Mad Mods, and this week we're pulling transmissions out of Suzuki Samurais that have leaks. If you got that 2.0 swap, you need to seal up them crank bolts. Let's go. This is stupid. I unlocked my hubs yesterday and it started snowing today. It hasn't snowed in weeks here. So I guess we're back to this. All right, we're driving over to Shannon's house. I'm going to get her rig. She's got something's leaking and I'm pretty sure I know what it is, but we're gonna go get her rig and drive it over to the shop and we're gonna fix them leaks. Let's go. Yep. Let's go. All right, I guess it's going to be a cold ride back. I hit the highway, making money to fly away, but it's got to be a better way, yeah. Mike just got done with this thing, putting tons, and those are 35s, right?
Yeah.
Man, them wheels look good. Over here at American Tire.
True beadlocks. Don't see those too often.
God damn. Woo, man, that thing's jacked up.
You probably could have done 38s or 40s.
This thing's up to my shoulder.
Yeah.
Huh, we should have done a video on this, Kevin.
Yeah.
First thing I'm gonna do is drain this oil. Probably ain't got 40 miles in this transmission, so we're gonna go ahead and keep it. I got a clean bucket, we're gonna catch it, see what it looks like. Whew. That looks good. Nice and warm. Just drove it down the highway. All right, I'm just looking around under here. It looks like she's got a rear main seal leak, but I'll tell you what, I've pulled this transmission before and that rear main looks great, but it is coming from the back of the engine. You can't really tell exactly where it's coming from. But you've seen me pull this transmission before, and I'll tell you what it is. Cody Smith from Extreme Zooks texted me a while back and he said, hey, did you ever figure out what's leaking on that 2.0? And I said, I think it's the crank bolts, because the crank bolts go all the way through and it seems like it's leaking right there. I've pulled the transmission, I pulled the clutch, I pulled everything off, and I found in another video you've seen, I found like that seal on the back on that little plug was leaking. There were some things leaking. I cleaned all that up, I sealed it all back up, and I used red Loctite or whatever on the crank bolts to the clutch, and that didn't seal anything up. So he said he had the exact same thing going on with the 2.0. He put some 3M sealing compound on his bolts, and I went and got some. It's thread sealant by Permatex. 5 56521 is the part number. And we're gonna pull those crank bolts off right now, and we're gonna seal them back up. Michael Bell's about to give me a ride in this Chevy. You can go ahead and drive. Woo-wee. I just went over to Shannon's house. I have a key to her Samurai. That's how much I work on it. She just tells me, go pick it up whenever you're ready. And so I just went and picked up her Samurai, left mine in her parking spot, and now I have to get a ride back to work. You didn't have to clean it up for me.
Gotta be a good house.
How do you get in this thing? Woo!
Very carefully.
Yes, sir. Crocs and socks. It's that time of year. That little thing's gnarly.
Few moments later.
Tell me what you just did again.
Oh, I've been over here fighting, trying to get to the starter bolts. Got this stubby on there.
Yeah.
And I went to lean against the intake, and the whole head moved.
The head wasn't even bolted down, and you were trying to fight it.
My impact gun.
All right, I just unbolted everything underneath here. Hey, if you got one of these cradles like this, and you're pulling your transmission, it is nearly impossible to get your the little intermediate shaft out of here because it hits right here. So what you do is you pull the shifter on your transfer case, and in this case I pulled these two bolts and let it down a little bit. Pull your shifter and just push it through the floor, and then you can push it above the transfer case and then slide it out of this hole right here once you have this mount off. Just FYI. I'm gonna pull this transmission. Let's go. All right, you see all that oil inside there? It's getting spattered around. This is a brand new rebuilt transmission, and everything looks dry on the clutch. The clutch looks dry, but it's wet back over here. So I'm gonna pull that clutch off, and we're gonna look at them crank bolts. Let me pull that flywheel, and we'll see what's going on. I think we found the leak, and it's like right along this line right here. And you gotta pull this whole bottom end, the oil pump, chain, probably change the rear main seal. But that's where it looks like it's leaking from, right there. So we wanna make it right. And so I guess I'm pulling this engine. I would rather pull it and do it on an engine stand than do it in the car. So that isn't my favorite solution, but I think we want to do it right. I think I'm just going to pull that engine and clean it up and reseal that. So it's way more than I thought I was going to get into tonight.
1 hour later.
And to do that job right, you have to pull that engine out and crack it in half, probably put some new bearings in it and all kinds of stuff. This thing's got low miles. It's a minor leak. It's just kind of an annoyance. It leaves about a quarter-sized little drop or whatever when she drives it. And so I thought that it was coming through the crank bolts, and evidently it wasn't. So I'm gonna put her back together. She opted just to have me put it back together, and we're just gonna make sure that it's topped off with oil and run it.
A3.
Me and Ronan are heading over to the shop this morning, and I'm looking in the sky and something is burning down. We're gonna go check it out. I don't know what that is, but we're gonna go see. That's awful close to where I work. My shop is right there. This thing's right there. Looks like a building. Anchorage's finest is on scene, putting that fire out. Looks like an old warehouse or something that's burning down. I don't know how it got started, but it's wintertime, heaters. If it was a abandoned warehouse, our homeless population, they start fires inside places and they burn down. So it was a cold night last night. Anyways, back to Shannon's rig.
Man, I gotta do something about that hood.
Well, we ought to just paint one of the other two that we got black. Stick it on there. I mean, I could probably almost mimic that paint job.
What's the base on that, do you think?
Yeet.
I don't even know if there is a base.
No, he just spray painted that, dude. That's
Get rid of that.
yeah, got to get rid of that. Nobody wants Cal Mini anything on their rig. All right.
That's the first thing I did. I fucking peeled them stickers. Nope.
All right, she's got a leak on her power steering reservoir, so I'm gonna throw one of these on it, see if we can stop that leak and clean it up. And then she has the return hose on her power steering down there. Seems to be leaking too, so I'll see if I can clean that up as well. It's just a minor leak. Got oil in it. Got to put her shifters in, and then she's pretty much done. Okay, so the power steering reservoir was leaking under there, and you can see all this. It was kind of wet, and I cleaned all that off. Cleaned the front diff off. It was just a hose clamp was a little loose, and then on this one, I tightened those hose clamps up, and same thing. It was kind of leaking. I don't think it was a bad leak, but it was leaving leaks on her driveway. So we cleaned it all up, and hopefully that little leak's done. So now it's all clean, and I think the leaks are taken care of. I'm gonna wrap up the interior. I got to put both shifter boots back on, and then all of that's done. But then I'm gonna throw some headlights in this thing. Those LEDs look pretty good. These harnesses are pretty simple. You just have a plug that goes into this side, and you just run it across, zip tied it in, and then the plug that goes in the back of the bulb right there, and then it goes into the harness. You just run the harness over. You got a couple of relays, goes the power. Super simple. You got switch negative in a Samurai, so that harness makes it to where these LEDs work. Let's check them out. There they are, nice and bright. Headlights look good. I'm gonna take this thing back to her house and drop it off. Let's go. It's back home and it looks great. Anyways, if you watch my video to the end, thanks for watching. Give me a like, leave a comment, tell me what I did wrong. Thanks for watching my video.